A New Year's Eve to remember. Mom, is the oven on? Max called from the kitchen, holding a wooden spoon like a sword. Lucy, adjusting the streamers in the living room, turned to answer. Yes, Max, I checked it already. Don't worry, everything's under control. Are you sure? Because the cake might explode if you're not careful, he said, giving her a playful look. Max had always been dramatic. At 12, he acted like he was the resident expert on all things food-related. His sister, Ellie, a bubbly 8-year-old, was bouncing around the kitchen, excitedly arranging sprinkles in neat little piles. We're making the best cake ever. It's going to be so big, Ellie said, her eyes wide with anticipation. Tom, her husband, appeared in the doorway of the kitchen, carrying a tray of appetizers. Is everything set for the big cake debut? He asked, setting the tray on the counter. Just about, Lucy replied. The cake's in the oven, and the kids are making sure it's perfect. The usual chaos. Tom chuckled, patting Ellie on the head. If it's anything like last year, we'll be eating it until February. Max scowled. Last year's cake was a disaster. Too much frosting. It was like eating a mountain of sugar. That's because you kept sneaking spoonfuls when no one was looking, Lucy teased, winking at him. Max crossed his arms. I just wanted to make sure it tasted good. I'm glad one of us was thinking about taste, Tom joked, and the family shared a laugh. The evening felt light and full of warmth, just the kind of cozy New Year's Eve they all loved. So, what's the plan for tonight? Max asked, a mischievous grin tugging at the corners of his lips. Well, after the cake, we'll play some games, Lucy said. Maybe a round of charades? We can do a family tournament. Ellie jumped up from her seat, arms raised in excitement. Yes, I'm going to win this year. I know I will. You think so? Max said skeptically. Let's see if you can even guess what I'm acting out first. Guys, Tom interrupted, before we get to the cake, why don't we start with a little game of 2 truths and a lie? That way, we'll know what we're up against later. Max raised an eyebrow. Is that a game, or just a way for you to get dirt on us? Nope, it's fun, Lucy assured him. We'll all take turns sharing 2 truths and 1 lie about ourselves, and the others have to guess which is the lie. I love that game. Ellie exclaimed. I'm so good at it. Okay, who's first? Tom glanced at Max, who rolled his eyes. All right, I'll go first, he said. He cleared his throat dramatically. 1. I once ate a whole pizza by myself. 2. I can play the piano. 3. I've never been to the beach. Ellie jumped up immediately. Oh, I know. Number 3 is the lie. You've been to the beach, right? Yep, that's it. Max said proudly. I've been to the beach with Dad, remember? Lucy smiled, impressed with Ellie's quick thinking. Your turn, sweetie. Ellie took a deep breath. Okay. 1. I can speak Spanish. 2. I have a pet hamster named Mr. Nibbles. 3. I've been to Disneyland. Max furrowed his brow. I know you're really good at Spanish. And you've definitely got a hamster. He's always running on that wheel. I think number 3 is the lie. You've never been to Disneyland. Ellie's face scrunched up. No, that's the lie. I've never had a hamster. I made it up. Wait, what? Max burst out laughing. You don't have a hamster? Why didn't you tell me? Ellie giggled. I thought it would be funny. Lucy smiled as the kids continued to argue good-naturedly. All right, my turn, she said, stepping into the spotlight. 1. I used to be a ballet dancer. 2. I once won a dance-off at a wedding. 3. I don't like chocolate. Max's eyes widened. Wait, you don't like chocolate? That's a lie, right? Lucy shook her head. Nope, I actually don't like chocolate all that much. Impossible, Max insisted. You always bake with chocolate. I use it because you guys like it, Lucy said with a smile. But I prefer vanilla. Ugh, that's so weird, Max muttered. All right, Tom said, trying to get everyone's attention back on track. Let's all agree, Mom is the weird one here. Now, who's up next? The game continued for another half hour, with each of them trying to stump the others with creative lies. By the time they finished, it was time to check on the cake. I think it's ready. Ellie cried, running to the oven. Max followed closely behind, his face full of concentration as if he were about to witness a scientific breakthrough. Lucy opened the oven and pulled out the two-layer cake. The smell of vanilla and chocolate filled the air, and Max's eyes sparkled. "It looks amazing, Mom. I think we've finally nailed it this year." "Well, the proof is in the frosting, my dear," Lucy said with a wink. "Let me do the frosting," Ellie declared, her arms flailing excitedly. "I can make it look like the stars are shining. Watch." As Ellie slathered the cake with frosting, Max began sprinkling edible glitter over it. "I think this is going to be the best cake ever," he said. "It's got to be. We worked hard on it." Once the cake was decorated to their satisfaction, they all gathered around the dining table, eager to take the first bite. Tom raised a glass. "Here's to a new year, full of new adventures, new memories, and of course, more cake." They clinked glasses and dug into their slices. The cake was, indeed, perfect, moist, rich with chocolate, and topped with just the right amount of frosting. There were no mountains of sugar this year, just the right balance. This is so good," Ellie sighed, her mouth full. "Best cake ever." "Best cake ever," Max agreed, nodding. "We should sell this." Lucy laughed. "If we did, we'd never have another moment of peace. You'd be too busy baking." "Well, we could hire someone to deliver it," Max said. "We could even get famous." Tom shook his head. "I think you're getting ahead of yourself, kiddo." "I think he's onto something," Lucy said, raising her eyebrows. "Maybe we'll make a family business out of it, Turner's Treats. We'll bake and Tom can handle all the paperwork." "Yeah, I can handle paperwork," Tom said, clearly not convinced. "Right after I finish fixing the sink and mowing the lawn." The room filled with laughter, and the sounds of clinking plates and forks echoed as they enjoyed the cake together. The conversation flowed easily between bites, covering everything from school to the best moments of the past year to plans for the future. After dessert, they moved to the living room for charades. Laughter echoed through the house as they acted out everything from famous movies to everyday activities. Max pretended to be a robot, Ellie mimicked a sloth, and Tom impersonated a very clumsy ballerina. By the time the clock struck midnight, everyone was in high spirits, full of cake and joy. Tom pulled out a bottle of sparkling juice, and they all raised their glasses. "Happy New Year!" They cheered together. "Happy New Year!" Ellie shouted, her voice full of excitement. Max smiled and hugged his sister. This was the best New Year's Eve ever. Lucy looked at her family, her heart full. Here's to many more. As the clock ticked on, the Turners settled in for the night, full of cake, laughter, and a renewed sense of love. It wasn't the biggest celebration, but it was the one they'd remember forever. Their perfect New Year's Eve.